So, if you follow politics, you've probably heard about this. Neera Tanden has been picked by Joe Biden to lead the Office of Management and Budget. But who is Neera Tanden, and what is the Office of Management and Budget, and why is everyone freaking out? Well, short summary, the Office of Management and Budget is just that. It takes the federal budget and makes sure it's doled out correctly. It's really not that powerful of a position, if I'm being totally honest. It's mostly just the money keeper. Yeah, see, it's the gatekeeper for the $4 trillion federal budget. It really just takes the money and hands it out. We're not talking, like, big differences here. There are some minor things she could do, but nothing amazing. The main thing is it gives her a voice in Biden's cabinet, which is what concerns people. Now, to explain who Neera Tanden is, Neera Tanden I think she founded the Center for American Progress, which is a think tank for what previously would have been considered progressive ideas, but is now considered neoliberal ideas, and we'll get to what that means in a moment. She herself is controversial. By running the Center for American Progress, she is very disliked by the right in America. She's also very disliked by the left because she was very against Bernie Sanders. She was very against Larry Lessig, big no money in politics guys, big social spending guys, etc., etc. And the left is also annoyed because maybe just over a decade ago, she said she was in favor of cutting Social Security and Medicare in order to balance the budget, which really summarizes her in a nutshell. She is a Clintonian progressive. I was going to say Democrat, but progressive is a better word. She is for social spending. She also helped craft Obamacare. So, if you want to see her type of legislation, Obamacare is one of those. And remember, the original Obamacare had a public option. You see, Clintonian and Democrats are, for lack of a better word, neoliberal. Neoliberal, in the most short summary for the federal government, what it means for government spending is means-tested government programs, which means you don't try and do a general blanket. So, if, for example, with temporary assistance for needy families, you make sure they meet certain criteria before you give them the money, so there are no freeloaders. They also believe in outsourcing a lot of public things, so they private utility companies instead of public utility companies. A lot of belief in the idea of the market is the best place to run it. It just needs a regulatory hand. I am not a fan of neoliberal economics. I am on the record as saying that neoliberal economics is the belief that a weak government and a weak market can both regulate each other, which only results in you having a strong market and a weak government. So, as you can see, people are concerned because she's a neoliberal, and they're afraid this is a return to the form of the Obama administration, which could have gone further on certain aspects, but didn't. This is just a litany. I'm being vague on purpose because there are so many things. Pick one. But if she was going to be a indicator of how the Biden cabinet is going to go, honestly, I don't think she's actually going to be that much of a problem, because she actually clashes with every other choice Biden's made so far. Biden has mostly picked a team that is based around the idea of using Keynesian economics. For example, his choice for... I just forgot what he nominated her for, but he's pulled up Janet Yellen, former head of the Federal Reserve, and a big believer and practitioner of Keynesian economics, which essentially means during hard times the government needs to pump money into the economy through big social programs. Think the New Deal. FDR's New Deal was Keynesian economics. And then during the good years, kind of cut back on them. You don't need as much welfare, as much like jobs programs, and let the market take over so wealth can develop. So that way, when you have a hard time, you can tax people again and you lower taxes during hard times and pump money into the economy. And during good times, you remove some of the regulations and raise taxes to build a war chest for when you need to do it again. All of economics comes down to one thing: counteracting the boom and bust cycle in an economy. Sometimes economics are going well, sometimes they aren't going well. The only other two viewpoints which are really mainstream in American politics right now are Friedman Knight economics, which is free market economics, the idea you don't need a big government, let the market regulate itself. And because with the rise of Bernie Sanders and his crowd, classical Marxist economics, which is the idea of the government the idea of a centrally planned economy in some way, with all key essential services being run by the government and the remaining part of the economy being cooperative. Theoretically, all of these imagine they can counteract the boom and bust cycle. But back to Neera Tanden. So the right wing hates her for obvious reasons. She is at the end of the day, in the solid Democratic coalition, she is for the idea of expanding the social safety net. Now, it's not in a way that many on the left would like, but it is an expansion of it. And also, she has gone on the record as saying now is not the time to worry about deficits, which, you know what? If we're going to hold her for things she said a decade ago, I'm at least willing to hear her out. If she doesn't, and I want to briefly say one thing about Neera Tanden before we wrap up when it comes to the left, because the left is, of course, concerned about budget cuts and all that jazz. One of the main things Neera Tanden did that really hurt her with progressives is saying she, was basically saying she hates Bernie Sanders and thinks his ideas are dumb. And if I'm being totally honest, that is basically the quote-unquote dirtbag left getting given its own medicine. The left wing had a strong chance of winning the presidency through either a Warren or a Sanders campaign. The problem is there was a strong, strong current on the left that we need to be Puritarian at this point, or Puritan. We can't, no compromise, no surrender. We can do this and then make them lick our boots. And now, and I'm going to be totally frank, most of the people on the actual neoliberal / centrist side did not return those responses. Neera Tanden did, and that's what made people so angry with her. And maybe that can be a lesson for the future when the best plan is for counteracting when a candidate does something you're not the biggest fan of is posting snake emojis. So with all that being said, if you like the video, drop a like down below and also leave a comment. If you want to hear more from me outside of YouTube, I have a Twitter at OneManThinkTan1, the Roman numeral, link in the description. And if you want to hear more from me on YouTube, you can click the subscribe button and the notification bell to be alerted when new content is released. Otherwise, as always, have a wonderful day.